Stephen Greenway. Hello, nice to meet you, Flyadeal Chief Executive Officer.
Good morning, thank you for having me.
Good morning, thank you so much for being here with me today. I just want to start with some really great news. So this year, for the first time, Flyadeal hit 10 million passengers a year. The Saudi low-cost airline has only been in operation since 2017. What has been the key to the airline's success as of now?
Well, a couple of firsts. This year we'll actually hit 11 million by the end of the year, which is exciting. We actually had 2 months where we carried more than 1 million passengers. That was for the first time, so we've never done that before. And we actually celebrated our 40 millionth passenger in total since we started, only 8 years ago. So every month, it almost seems we have a record that we're passing and so forth. I think a couple of things. We're only 8 years old, but what we are doing is we're moving from adolescence to adulthood, I think. We're growing up very, very quickly. So there's a lot of new aircraft coming in. We delivered 8 new aircraft this year. We'll have an aircraft almost every month next year. And it's that growth in the kingdom and us supporting that growth through aircraft deliveries and so forth that's really spurring that on, I suppose.
So hitting milestones, which is great for Flyadeal. And also, you are planning to increase its network, Flyadeal, and fleet. That's threefold by 2030. That's the plan. Have you been hindered at all by any aircraft delays and supply chain issues? And if so, has that impacted planning at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're sitting on 43 aircraft at the moment. 44 comes, I think, in the next couple of weeks. I lose count. And then we're getting up to 100 over the next couple of years. And that's a mix of 320s. New 321s, which will come into our fleet, and 330s, which will allow us to go long haul. But we, like every other airline, are suffering in terms of aircraft delivery delays. Our 321s were meant to be delivered next year, or start to be delivered next year. We won't see those until 2027. So a full year delay on top of already delays. You know, the 2026 delivery date was already a delay on a delay, if that makes sense. The 330s we've got coming in 2027, and as we say in the kingdom, inshallah, they'll arrive on time, but there's no guarantee. And it really just impacts your planning. You know, those 321s as an example, we really wanted to fly to India and to Pakistan because we get better economics and more seats and more range, and we can't. And so we're constantly having to move and modify our plans. But look, we're not alone. It's easy to whinge. I speak to every other airline CEO. Everyone else is in the same bucket as I am, or as we are. It's how you manage it, I suppose, the situation that's absolutely key. And
that's a difficulty, especially when it comes to supply chains and delays, because it's out of your hands, Stephen. But let's talk a little bit about that. You spoke about Flyadeal, and you have quite a lot of new aircraft on order. So 51 new narrow-body aircraft, 10 wide-body aircraft on order, all for deliveries by around 2027. So is 2027 going to be the year of wow growth for Flyadeal and allow for those more long-haul flights like you spoke to me about, India, Pakistan, possibly Europe? So is that where you're looking for the wow growth to happen?
I'm going to describe 2027 as the wow growth year. Thank you. You've given me the tag. Wow growth and sort of scratching my head growth as well. I literally had a meeting with Airbus yesterday, and I was just informed that not only will we get 1 new aircraft type in July of 27, but we'll get 2. So we're getting our 321s, our first one being delivered in July, and our 330 being delivered in July at the same time. We will literally, from 2027 beyond, we have literally an aircraft every month or more coming into the fleet to get us up to where we need to be for 100 aircraft. So I think that's where we really do amp up. I think your observation is absolutely correct. We're preparing now. We're doing all the basics now to prepare for that. Flight training schools, engineering, technology investments, you name it, to get prepared for that big day where we know we're ramping up quite substantially. But in the interim, we are already starting Pakistan. We have 5 destinations. We're getting on with it. We're getting on with the assets that we have. We don't want to stop growing. We want to continue growing our network. Syria is a good example. India, we still intend to launch next year despite not getting the 321s. We've just got to get on with it. It's not optimal. I think that's probably the thing to say, but we have to get on with the growth, and that's what we're doing.
And let's talk a little bit about India, because as you just said to me, India's Flyadeal is sort of the next phase of growth,
Yes.
if you want to put it in that respect.
Yeah.
But you know, so many overseas carriers are actually flying a share of India's international traffic. It's become a popular destination. How is Flyadeal planning to compete with the other big international airlines who are thinking of doing the same thing?
Well, a couple of things. Both India and Saudi Arabia, they're in the top 5 trading partners between both countries. So they have very, very strong economic ties. That even surprised me when I was researching. Second thing is we have 3 million Indians in the kingdom, everyone from doctors to street cleaners and everything else in between. So they're wanting to go home, visit friends and family. They're living in the kingdom, they're working in the kingdom, but they obviously want to go home. You have a huge middle class building in India and wealth as well, and they're wanting to travel. And what we say is airlines in both India and the Kingdom have been unrepresented in terms of market share. That is that third-party airlines via third-party countries are taking traffic, over Dubai as an example, from India to the Kingdom and vice versa. What we're saying is we want our fair share of direct traffic. It's only 5-hour flying time between the Kingdom and India, or 4 on the East Coast. We believe there's enough there. We're offering direct services. And the other thing on top of that is we're also offering a network of 25 destinations within the Kingdom. And so that is obviously something very compelling for someone who was wanting to come into the Kingdom and move around. So we think there's a lot more growth between our countries respectively, and there's a demand for direct services as opposed to going via a third country.
That absolutely makes sense. But India actually adopts a really protectionist stance when it comes to foreign carriers operating Indian routes. How does Flyadeal plan to tackle this government oversight that's currently in India at the moment?
So 2 things. You're correct, but they're more protective in terms of what we call 6th freedom traffic. That is going over third-party countries via third-party airlines to get to an ultimate destination. A good example would be, say, India via Dubai to the United States, as an example. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about direct services between 2 countries. The other thing is also the actual oversight and regulation that is pertaining to both of our countries is reasonably good. We can start services without having to ask for extra rights or anything like that. We just have to get the license to be able to do that. So the actual traffic rights between both of our countries is quite good.
And also, you know, we were speaking there about growth and different flights. What makes the Saudi market unlike any other in the Middle East? And how is Flyadeal supporting Saudi's 2030 vision? Because we know right now that is the massive focus for the kingdom.
Yes, absolutely. So a couple of things. Number one, Dubai, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, etc. do not have the domestic market. Okay, so Saudi Arabia has 35 million Saudis, then also guest workers and other people who have come to work in the country. It's a big domestic market, like Canada, like Australia. It just simply doesn't exist anywhere else in the kingdom, and that's why a lot of foreign airlines are very interested in the kingdom. So that's number one. We're lucky to have a natural, large domestic market. Number one. Number two is the market, and I say this with respect, is immature. That is that the market's only just opened up over the past 5 to 10 years. It's not a mature market like North America or Europe or something like that. So the Band-Aid has been ripped off. You can now go into the kingdom, like you were talking about your travels, very easy, everything is electronic, you can egress through. That was not the case 5, 10 years ago. You couldn't even come on a tourist visa. You had to be on a working visa or a pilgrim visa. So that has all opened up. They've opened up just like any other normal country. And what they're doing is paying catch up. They're paying catch up in terms of growth, and so that's why we're seeing 15% growth year on year domestically, is because we're playing catch up. New market segments are coming in, everything from new religious segments, because it's much easier to do Umrah now, all the way through to natural tourism segments. I always get a laugh. I see Saudi girls going to Dubai for shopping. They couldn't have done that 5, 10 years ago. They had to go with an escort or couldn't go at all. So there's a genuine new market segment. In terms of 2030, our mission, it's very, very basic. It's connecting Saudi Arabia to the world and bringing Saudi Arabia, bringing Saudis to the world and the world to Saudi Arabia. And by the growth that we spoke about, the network expansion plans, that's how we underpin 2030.
It sounds so exciting for you as a CEO of the company to be able to be there as you move things from infancy to growth. It must be a great opportunity for yourself and for the crew involved and everyone involved in the airline.
Oh, I'm like a kid in a toy store. It is wonderful. Right place, right time, right narrative. And I consider ourselves nation builders. We have a role within the nation that's very clear, as I explained. And just being in the centre of all that, I mean, just incredibly exciting. And we can see every day visible change, the difference that we make. It's very difficult to find that anywhere else. And I think also the other thing which must be mentioned is the ecosystem, the air transportation ecosystem is not despised, it is supported. The government comes to us and says, how can we help? How can we help you grow and succeed? What do you need? What are the blockages? And I think that dialogue is incredibly positive and unfortunately lacking in a lot of other jurisdictions around the world.
And it's so interesting because we talk about Saudi developing, and obviously there's a lot of sport happening in Saudi, the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo. We've seen the massive footballers.
I think he's become a Saudi now, hasn't he? He seems to be very he's moved, he's pro. Every time I see him, it's like, I'm Saudi now. I seem to be living here. But yes, you're right. Yeah,
and do you think that's attracting a lot of traffic to Saudi to watch all these big sporting events? Because there's been a big tennis event there recently. We saw Arina Sabalenka, the world #1, playing tennis. They've really opened up the country, and of course Formula One.
Yeah. Formula One's a nightmare for me. It's just down the road from where I live, so traffic is never good when it's on. But look, the sporting events are just one part of many. Would you believe it? The Jeddah Book Festival is taking off. I mean, very, very popular. It's coming up soon in a month's time. So everything from sporting events to cultural events. And then on top of that, what you're now starting to see is the infrastructure we've been talking about for so long opening up. So theme parks, Red Sea resorts, etc., Ulula in terms of accommodation opening up more. All of this is now coming online literally over the next couple of years. So it has to be seen as in a holistic way, everything from golf to Formula One, as you said, even boxing, but also all of the other infrastructure pieces. So that, we've had all this growth without any of that over the past couple of years, and now we're starting to see those taps turned on. That is incredibly exciting because it really does give people a reason to come and visit, see Saudi Arabia for what it truly is, which is a magnificent country, and participate in its growth.
Great golf courses in Saudi Arabia.
I haven't tried. My handicap is too bad, it's embarrassing. So I don't even want to go there.
I spend most of the time in the rough, to be honest. So my handicap's not very good either. But just a final question to you, Stephen. I've been flying back and forth to Saudi Arabia. As we all know, the growth of development incredible there. Why should I get a Flyadeal flight, or anyone watching this interview?
So, one, they've got a fantastic CEO, so you just have to...
the best
CEO ever, of course. Look, we have... The great thing about Saudi Arabia and the ecosystem is we have a number of airlines servicing different market segments. For us, our proposition is very, very simple, which is we're safe, we're affordable, we're on time, and we don't cancel. And we religiously pursue those goals. A good example of that is our OTP, or on-time performance. We're the leading LCC in on-time performance for 10 months running in the Middle East, okay? And in a couple of those months, we've actually been globally #1, not an LCC, but globally airline #1. And so we just don't talk about it, we actually deliver, and people know that they can get a cheap ticket, but typically sometimes you get a cheap ticket, it means that it's poor standard or poor performance or what have you. We want to change that ethos, and we want to change that understanding that they know that they can get an affordable fare on us, they know they're going to be on time, and they know they're not going to cancel. And we just get those true fundamentals correct, people just come knocking on our door and coming back time after time.
I must say, the best CEO at the air show, Stephen Greenway. Thank you so much.
I should charge an appearance fee.
Yeah, definitely.